Actually,
what's up, Rotogrinders? Dean here. Dean 7904. That is the daily fantasy handle around the industry. We are early. It's only 5:02 on the East Coast. Why are we early? Because it's a massive 13-game NBA slate. We wanted to give enough time to break down as many games as possible. We're going to talk about all the games. Of course, some will feature more than others. Some are going to be some quick passes because, hey, 13-game slate. Can't talk about everybody. That wouldn't be helpful. Anyways, for the people around here, do want to say what's up to y'all watching us on YouTube. Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on notifications. Join the conversation with us in the Discord. Go to the live stream chat, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Say hello in the live stream chat. Join the conversation, or you're probably hanging out in Chief's Prop Shop, which is right above that. Also free. You guys do not have to be premium members here at Rotogrinders. That is for anybody. Chief, we got a 13-gamer. No time for pleasantries. I will say hello. We want to keep this as efficient as possible. Try to keep it on the rails as much as possible. A lot going on in the association. Of course, ton of games on Monday, 3 games yesterday, and this is what happens. 13 games on Wednesday. You ready for it?
Absolutely, man. Let's dig in.
Kirk Dees, how are things in your world? Who was eating the Orioles? Oh no, that was our pre-show conversation. We gotta stay on task. I just say we're not gonna derail the show. And immediately right out the gate, I want to talk about you guys both found out you have similar Oreo eating habits, which I guess is a conversation for another day. What's up, Kirk?
all right, well, we're going to give the one tip. What we were saying, Chief and I both do this. I take a sleeve of Oreos. If you're going to have Oreos and milk, sometimes I've even taken a sleeve and just thrown it in the milk, and then you just take a spoon and eat it out like that. That's the pro way. It's a pro tip. So, but we'll move on from there. I'm doing well. I had a good night last night, thanks to Hamidou Diallo, and I'm ready to keep it rolling today. Huge slate.
I'm refreshed. I did not play yesterday. I took the day off, which I rarely do. But 2-gamer, what are you gonna do? Was that the guy who broke the slate, Hamidou Diallo? I don't even know.
No, he did enough. Everyone played Cunningham and Sadiq Bey, and Diallo was the guy who got all the blowout run.
All right, and Detroit, of course, playing in the back half of back-to-back and a nightcap. We'll talk about that soon enough. The game at Sacramento. Let's talk. We're gonna go game by game. We're gonna break down as much as possible. If you guys ask your questions in chat, we're gonna do our best to get to them. No promises. Again, 13-gamer. That's why we're on early. We want to knock out as be as efficient as possible as far as this game, as far as this slate. Orlando and Philadelphia, that's the first game, 7 o'clock, 2:14 is the total. Philadelphia is a 12-point favorite. Potential blowout here lurking. Philadelphia is without some of their guards, Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle and Shake Milton. Orlando, we don't know about Wendell Carter. He is questionable with his hamstring. Otherwise, they're pretty healthy. Etuan Moore still out. MCW still out. Of course, Isaac and Fultz, same deal. I'll throw it to you, Kirk. This feels like a not terribly interesting game for me. Of course, there's a lot of things you can play in tournaments. You can get goofy. You can play Embiid. We'll talk about that as well. But Orlando, what do you have for me?
Yeah, so Orlando, I don't have much for you. So there are some plays in here if this game stays competitive. That's the big if here. The Magic are a great team to attack. With 25th in defensive rating, 26th in opponent blocks per game, 24th in opponent steals per game. So, obviously some of these 76ers could have big games. I think Tyrese Maxey is kind of nice because I think he'll probably get some blowout run too if that does happen. Tobias Harris, you get that little, is it revenge at this point anymore? I don't know.
It's been a while, but yeah.
Yeah, he's cheap, and maybe there's something there. And he certainly had a horrible game, and yes, he's supposedly playing through some injury and some stuff, so there's some issues. But I think you could play him. I'll tell you one thing though, that this Magic team is just horrendous. As long until they get Wendell Carter. If Wendell Carter plays, then I could potentially jump on some of these guys. I would feel better about it being somewhat competitive. But man, they just play bad basketball. The Magic. Cole Anthony is horrendous. He's losing time, so maybe you could play some Suggs maybe as a blowout guy. Also, a guy who they were playing over Cole Anthony in their last game, just because Cole Anthony was so bad and he's just shooting so terrible. But that's all I got.
Oh, I wouldn't say Anthony's horrendous, but by all means, today I'm not considering playing him. If you're playing 150, I suppose you could sprinkle it. He is a part of their future, and I think he's got a decent future ahead of him. Will, the Orlando side, what are your thoughts as far as the Magic? Anything to add there? Does anybody jump out for you on FanDuel? I'm seeing just nobody popping as far as ownership. Nobody at 1%, basically. Anthony's 1%, Carter 1%. If he doesn't play, we're probably going to have Rolo draw the start. We'll see. Whatever. Yeah, he's probably going to start anyway, actually. But your thoughts as far as the Magic, anything to add, or you want to move on?
Yeah, I'm not playing anyone from the Magic.
What about Philadelphia? Kirk Dees mentions Tobias Harris, and Tobias Harris actually has a really appealing price on DK specifically. I'm okay at 6.7K. I feel like we haven't seen that so much. 10% as far as the ownership, 11% as far as Embiid, and that's basically it. Like we're seeing Maxey at 5%. Otherwise, just nothing. Your thoughts as far as Philly?
Yeah, I do like Tobias Harris tonight at 6,700. And one of the things, man, this slate makes me think about some old strategies I used to use. It's not like an end-all be-all. It's just some of those spots where when you think a team's going to get kind of beat up on inside, I play power forward and center. And I know Embiid's at 11K and you got Harden to deal with and some of these other guys, like you're going to get LeBron at the end of the night. And so it may be really hard to play Embiid, but I'm telling you, Embiid is in that spot where he can legitimately have a 40-point half, a 40 fantasy point half. Let me be more specific. Especially in the first quarter, typically, if you see Embiid get to around 12 real points in the first quarter, a 60-70 burger is probably coming. Just based on how he's been playing this season. I think this is a spot for him to get it done. Do I think they blow out the Magic? Yes, which is why I want to temper my expectations some. But I do really think, Embiid and Tobias Harris are really good plays on a large slate.
Kirky's amongst the big spends in the slate. Where is Embiid for you? Because I'm finding it hard. Again, he's great in tournaments, and I get it, and he's not going to be heavily owned, about 10% or so, give or take. He's not in the podium for me, though.
It could work out his way. It's just I worry about this game, but we've got Harden tonight. We've got
LeBron, Giannis.
LeBron, of course. We've got Giannis. We've got Jokic with maybe a little fire because he's playing Morris's brother. But we'll keep that narrative going as long as we can. You got Sabonis, who's in a good spot. He's down on the list for me tonight as well, which means he's probably a good GPP play, but I just can't see the one thing with Tybalt being out, maybe their defense is a bit worse and this game may stay closer, but this game should suffer from pace problems. Both teams love to go slow.
Yeah, 214 and a 12-point line, not the most appealing game on the board. Let's move on. Brooklyn and Washington. This one, it's weird. It's high and it's tight. Like Washington is a 1-point favorite too.
Dean.
Something in the prop shot.
No, listen, I forgot, man. Joel Embiid first half points prop tonight is 13.5. That's lowest it's been in 3 weeks. We've took the over at 15.5 and hit it almost every day. Like it's too low. He's going to go over 13.5 points in the first half tonight. Just go ahead and hammer that. Sorry about that, Dean. Back to regularly scheduled programs.
Yeah, just feel free to sprinkle in your prize picks selections. Also, should note today the dev team. I don't know if it was Nicole, somebody shout out to them. So you should, if you have Rotogrinders Premium, you should be using the Google extension Chromes, also Firefox, if you're using that as well. On DraftKings, on FanDuel, like you'll get, it'll show your ownership, it'll show the fantasy points projection, it'll show the expert rankings, anything you want to show on the screen, overlapping on your FanDuel screen, overlapping on your DraftKings screen. Now it's a thing on Prize Picks too. It'll literally say like the over-under is 28, and Rotogrinders, we're projecting 30, 31, 32, whatever it is, whatever projection is, and hey, maybe you like the over because of that. I'm sure this has made your life a little bit easier. Will, have you? I'm sure you've noticed this today. Yes.
Yeah, of course I did, and thank you, Dean. I've used it at Underdog as well because clearly it's big for what I have going on props wise. But when Dan dropped this in the chat, man, it's a good tool. It will save me some time because now basically what you're getting is I've talked about our premium projections that's going to give you points, rebounds, assists, and rebounds, and all those projections. They're overlaid right on the prop, so you can look and see right there whether or not you've got an advantageous line. Once again, I don't use this exclusively. Like it's not the only thing I use to just say, yeah, I got it, but it's a good tiebreaker for sure. I don't go a day without. That's probably the first thing I look at is our statistical projections, and then I kind of go from there. So anyway, I'll shut up now. Back to you,
right.
Dean.
So what's interesting here is that this is a massive, massive total, and like Durant, of course, out on the Brooklyn side. Bembry is questionable for what it's worth. Millsap is out also. So is Claxton. But, it's really, really hard to figure out the peripheral pieces on Brooklyn one day to the next, the volatility as far as the minute delegation. And I don't know how much I want to mess with on a 13-game slate, especially first game on the board. And it's also interesting because nobody's playing Washington because Washington is fully healthy. Like they have like 14 dudes, here against Brooklyn, and people are going to be playing Kyrie Irving on FanDuel, 42% ownership because that price is 8.9K. It's just too cheap when you consider Durant being out, extra usage delegating his way. Harden also 10.6K. That is too cheap. He's looking at 33% ownership. Same deal on DK as well to a lesser degree. Irving at 24%, Harden at almost 20% because 9.3K for Irving. The gap to Harden is 11.6. You need that salary savings. Kirk Dees. I suppose you think both those guys are interesting. I don't know if you want to throw a dart anybody else on the Brooklyn side. I probably won't. Somebody will get there. I don't know who that is. I don't think that person's going to matter enough for me to have them. Thoughts?
In the very limited amount of sample we have in this, it's Kyrie Irving that seems to benefit, but that makes the most sense because they've been trying to get him going in general right off the bat here. Basically the way to look at this is it's Kyrie and Harden are playing with a bunch of low usage players, right? So I don't really care about any of them. We have 13 games where we can take filler from other games, right? So I just want these studs, to be honest with you. And then you made a good point with nobody on the other side of Washington, but I think Bradley Beal. You follow the usage. If they're all healthy, who's the main usage guy, and that's Bradley Beal. And so he would be the bring back, and then you can load up the Jazz value or wherever you find value from there.
3.6% is the highest number for Washington on FanDuel. That's KCP at 4.7K. And whoever wants to play KCP on a 13-game slate when the entire team is healthy. DK wise, we're looking at 9% ownership for KCP at 4.3K again. Like, when does he ever break the slate when everybody's healthy? Beal at 1%. So for tournaments, absolutely is a run back in play. Otherwise, the Kuzma price is insane. I know he's been on a good run, but you got to assume he's going to fall back. There also have like 4 centers available too. Will, what do you have to add here as far as this, this conversation as far as Brooklyn and Washington?
Harden is going to be in play big time at 11.6. His ceiling is still immense, even with Kyrie there. I don't really. I'm starting to get away from the Washington pieces just because as they get closer to full strength, they just all kind of take away from each other. So I'm not really looking for these 55, 60-point ceiling games from Bradley Beal anymore consistently. Like, not that he can't get there tonight because it is Brooklyn, going to be a fast-paced game. But mostly, I'm kind of going to stay away from the Wizards, especially on DK. Mainly James Harden for me. I don't hate Kyrie. Like, the projection on him is really good.
Yeah.
But I guess I almost feel like I have to choose between Kyrie and Harden. And I just think mentally, I still feel like Harden's a better play.
Yeah, you got to pay for the difference, but yeah, it's tough. I agree. They're both in my pool, and like kind of like whichever one fits, I'm good with. I don't think I need both, and both could certainly get there, but the possibility of them both getting like 55, 60, which is what you probably need, if you're playing both of them, unlikely. Can't go overtime, obviously. Can't really project those things. Let's move on. Let's talk about Portland and Miami. My Miami Heat. They are a 10-point favorite versus the Blazers. 211 is a total, not a very high number. Obviously, Portland is without Norman Powell. They're without Nance. They're without Lillard. As far as Miami, two of their ball handlers, Tyler Hero's out. Kyle Lowry is going to be out. We're projecting Gabe Vincent to draw the start next to Duncan Robinson, but I presume that Jimmy Butler is just going to get all the usage. He's going to run some point forward. He's one of we were talking about studs, Kirk. He's like, isn't Jimmy Butler, like, let's call him a stud tonight. Nice matchup, and all the usage being delegated his way. I love Butler tonight.
Yeah, in the limited sample we have this season with Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry off the court, it's Jimmy Butler who has the most to gain here. He's doing 1.5 fantasy points per minute. It's his squad, right? So if you like this game, and Bam is back now, but he's just started to get into shape. Maybe you can play a little bit of Bam here tonight, but I probably won't. It's really all Butler, and then maybe you can look to some of the fringe guys on Miami. But you have to like the spot for Butler, especially with the Blazers, their lack of defense, where they're 29th in defensive rating on the season. They've also give up a ton of threes. So maybe a guy like Duncan Robinson, maybe a guy like Gabe Vincent. Yeah, maybe a guy like Strus. They're maybes, but Jimmy is the consistent guy, and he's going to be a priority for me tonight.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Like, I can't really predict who it's going to be. Like, Strus is a guy that, he's basically Duncan Robinson. Like, they're both going to be chucking up their threes. Who's going to get there? I have no idea. And again, 13 game slate. I'm not sure how much you need them anyways, but Butler feels like the constant. He feels like the guy that's going to run the show. If this ownership holds, and of course this stuff changes, it's fluid. It's just from 4:00, and I probably got to give it a refresh, or at least at 6:30 or whatever it is. We're looking at 11% ownership for Butler on DK at 9.1K. I love that. Love that. I think he's a cash game play potentially if it kind of works out for you. We're looking at 15% on FanDuel for what it's worth. And Bam Adebayo, you're getting a decent price on FanDuel, 7.7K in the pool. His minutes, yet to assume, maybe tick up a little bit. Weird thing to see Yurt-Seven out of the rotation last time. I was surprised to see he was I thought he earned himself some minutes. Doesn't really matter for us, in tonight's slate. We're thinking about Dedmon anyway. What do you have to add here? Will, as far as Miami, it feels to me like Butler's an awesome piece, and there's some peripheral stuff you can sprinkle in, but that's basically where I'm at. You can play some Bam too, but yeah, that's the Heat. Anything as far as prize picks jumping out for you as far as Miami, or you want to jump over to talk about Portland?
Yeah, let's talk about Portland. I will say Jimmy Butler, typically, I always feel like his fantasy point projection is like a touch too low. Well, today it came in at 47. That tells you how good this matchup is. He usually comes in around 41, 42. So that's why Miami is mainly a stay away from me. I'll go ahead and hop to the Portland side from prize picks. I do think Anthony Simons at 17. We've got him projected for 20. I know CJ's back, but he came in at the sports books this morning around 19 and a half, 20 and a half, and we've probably just kind of hammered it under that amount. But at 17, I definitely think that's an opportunity for the over. Our projections, if you've got the extension, are projecting him for around slightly over 20 points. So 20.03, you can't score 03 points. But the bottom line is, with that, when I've got that big of a differential between the prize picks projection and our projection, I'm typically going to side with our projection. Like that's 3 points. That's huge in NBA. So I'll leave that where it is. In terms of the Portland Trail Blazers from a fantasy perspective, I'm just kind of out on DK, especially. I think all of these guys are kind of overpriced with CJ back in the mix. And CJ did play, was it 28 minutes, I think, in that return game? Yeah, 28 minutes. I mean, that's enough time for him to kill everybody's upside. It really is. And I know Nurkic had a big game, but still, at 8,700 on DK, I'm out. Covington, 6,100, I'm out. Nasir Little, he's probably still okay-ish, but that's getting close to where, I don't want to play him. And then Simon's at 74. Not that I don't think he has a ceiling, but with CJ back, I'm very afraid to pull the trigger at that price. I'm pretty much out on Portland, all in on Jimmy Butler.
First game back for CJ, 28 minutes, and there was room. It was a blowout, so there was a chance we can get some more minutes, and we are projecting 33 now. And we know how historically he is when Lillard's off the court. So I think it's not a great matchup, obviously, a potential blowout and all that, but I think there's a chance. I think it's an interesting run back when you consider not anybody right now currently, as far as our projections, is 1% or higher as far as ownership. We're looking at 0.97% ownership on McCollum. And like you said, it kills guys like Simon. Not kills them, but severely hurts him. He's still going to play a ton of minutes. Obviously, the usage will go down with CJ on the court a good bit. Kirk, your thoughts at McCollum at 1%? Otherwise, what? I don't think we're playing Nurkic at 1%, but he's 1%, and we saw his upside. Again, the matchup not premium, but if we could play 32, 33, 34 minutes, which is plausible or possible, you got anything to sell me as far as Portland, or it's kind of no, too many games?
The ownership is ridiculous here. So Nurk is a little overpriced, but his minutes have come up. And he got 36 minutes in his last game, had pushed another game against Sacramento for 38 minutes, has had some monster performances. Bam is, still working his way back into game shape. Dedmon is not someone I would worry about if he matches up with him at all. So I think he's worth a sprinkle. I also think that Anthony Simons is worth a sprinkle, especially if you think that Jimmy Butler will be guarding CJ when CJ's on the court. The Heat are 24th in opponent made threes per game. And so Simons will probably be, chucking when he's out there and have a better matchup to do so. And so we've seen some monster upside with him. Obviously the price is up there now, and that's what makes this kind of gross, but some best GPP plays always feel gross, so.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to throw away Bam. Bam on FanDuel's got a really nice price, and DK I think is workable too, but I just prefer Jimmy more over him. And historically, Bam's probably got a better chance to grab some assists with Lowry off the court. Not that he's going to get a ton, but whatever it is, more than he typically would get. Those are some points. Points are points. They're helpful. Otherwise, let's move on. Talk about Charlotte at Kirk Deese's Boston Celtics. 219.5 is a total. Charlotte is currently a 3.5 point dog right now. As far as Charlotte, they're fully healthy with the exception of Kelly Oubre, who's currently questionable with the health and safety protocols. He may or may not come back. We see that Charlotte sometimes will run that 8-man rotation, which is pretty appealing as far as Boston. They are expecting Robert Williams to be available, and Marcus Smart is out for conditioning reasons. So Dennis Schroeder becomes I think you can actually speak to this. I think he's most interesting, Kirk Dees, on Yahoo. I want to say he's $17 over there. 6'4" on DK, maybe playable. Like he can get a ton of run, and the matchup against Charlotte's pretty appealing as well. And people aren't playing Brown or Tatum, and the matchup is good. They're fully priced. They're where they should be. They're pretty healthy with the exception of Smart. What do you have as far as this game? I think it's interesting for tournaments.
Yeah, I totally agree. So this game kind of sticks out to me a little bit, and I am a Celtics homer, so we'll take it with a grain of salt. But I mean, it's the fast pace that the Hornets play at, and they're also 26th in overall defensive rating. They're been playing a little bit better defense as of late, but certainly this could be a game where some of the Celtics have, ceiling performances. So I think you look to Jalen or Jason, you don't play them together. It's one or the other. And I think, we've got a bunch of narrative plays in here. We've got Scary Terry revenge, right? Back home, who's been never met a shot he didn't like and has been absolutely nuclear lately, right? I mean, that's the truth, Chief, right?
It is, man. Gosh, it really is.
And then we got Robert Williams with the new baby first game back narrative.
Didn't sleep. He didn't sleep at all.
Yeah,
he's tired.
Could be that, or he could, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can play this game, but Miles Bridges is a guy that could absolutely eat against the Celtics. And the thing with Miles Bridges are his freaking minutes are crazy.
Yeah.
They play this guy 40 minutes every game. It's like, I don't get it, and so, but and so he's got, the price tag is high, but he has a massive ceiling, so, and then Al Horford is extremely cheap, right? So maybe if Robert Williams doesn't get his full load first game back, maybe he's tired, like you say, maybe Horford plays extra minutes in this one. But regardless, at 5,300, Horford is probably going to be fine regardless. So I'm kind of interested in all over in this place.
By the way, FanDuel, nobody on FanDuel is projected from that has to be wrong. Nobody's projected for more than 1% ownership on FanDuel from the Charlotte side.
It's tough when we've got like Utah Jazz all like 70%.
I know. We'll talk about the Jazz situation, obviously. DK, at least Hayward's getting 4.8%.
Hayward. No, there's another narrative. There's another,
Oh yeah. He stung for Boston, didn't he? I think he was. Well,
yeah.
He didn't just stink. He ruined the Celtics.
It wasn't Danny Ainge. I was told it was Danny Ainge.
Don't worry,
Kyrie.
Then he hoodwinked us for a big contract. And here's the hidden narrative, Dean, that nobody wants to talk about.
What is it?
This is actually me and Kirk Dees' favorite team.
Yeah.
So
what's the wager?
Well, there's no wager.
Or you got
DMs, man.
You got to kill a sleeve of Oreos on air.
Yeah, we could go with that. I think maybe me and Kirk Dees will be back on, but I do like this game overall. The Hornets are a little bit overpriced though. Like even on DK, like Bridges is 85, which is why he isn't going to get any ownership. Would you rather play Bridges at 85 or Kyrie at 93 in this spot? Probably Kyrie, right? LaMelo Ball. Look, I've got friends that keep telling me, LaMelo's a star. LaMelo's a star. Oh my goodness, he is. But guess what it takes? It takes your coach playing you the minutes.
You got to get in the court.
And he does play sometimes, but I don't know what game it's going to be when he plays 28 minutes and Coach Borrego decides to run Ish Smith out for 50 minutes. I have no clue. I don't have a model that can predict that. But What I can tell you is this: we've got so many mouths to feed on this team that, you know, LaMelo is not somebody I'm going to be playing over 8K most nights. He is going to pop for 50, 60 from time to time, but it's from time to time, which is why, you know, I think his price needs to get dialed back to around 7,700, and then I feel a lot better about trying to invest in him. Once again, Scary Terry. I mean, man, he's pretty much an automatic 20 plus points a game at this point, almost every day, which is giving him such a high floor, but that's also increased the price. Gordon Hayward at 6,400. He's kind of the Swiss Army knife. And if Kelly Oubre happens to come back, it's going to kill everybody because he's going to take 15, 16 shots a game. And now, you know, the only person that's probably really safe, which feels strange, it's Miles Bridges. Like, for whatever reason, we want to play Miles Bridges 40 minutes and not play anybody. Well, and Terry does too. But this is really more about LaMelo. But Miles Bridges is for sure going to get the minutes at 8,500.
And nobody's playing.
For tournaments, I get it.
Contract year, man, he's going to get paid. I mean, he's going to get a max contract. I was talking about the other day with somebody else. I imagine he is. Boston, as far as the ownership, again, great matchup. They're pretty healthy. Dennis Schroeder played 40 minutes last time out. You know, he might be pushed again. We'll see. You can't project 40, but it was Smart out. He certainly had the opportunity to thrive in a good matchup. We're looking at at 6.4K on DK. We're looking at like really low ownership. Tatum and Horford less than 10% as well. Who's your favorite play on the Boston side, Will?
I think it's Jason Tatum, believe it or not. Like historically, hear me out. Historically, man, we've struggled so bad with the small forward position. And I really mean it. Like Jason Tatum, he might pop for 60 tonight. Like this might be one of those 32 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, a block and a steal and very little turnovers. Like Jason Tatum should have a monstrosity of a game against us tonight.
You agree with that? You threw them both out, Kirk. These different prices, obviously. If you're going to pick one, Tatum or Brown.
You know, I can't pick one. So I would play some of each. I think, you know, the thing about the Hornets. So basically, this is a great. I mean, so there's like a lot of narratives. You got Gordon Hayward, you got Scary Terry, you got Tatum and Brown. And they may just go off, right? Like it may be like a feel good game here and up in pace spot for the Celtics, and the Hornets are just. They give up anything behind the 3-point line. So teams just bury them behind 3. So who's going to take the threes in the Celtics? It's going to be Brown or Tatum. So one of these guys is going off tonight. I mean, they may both have decent games, but I do like one of these two.
Big old number, Atlanta versus Minnesota, 236. That's a monster total. Atlanta, 1.5 point favorite, high and tight. Minnesota, fully healthy, though. That's kind of a problem. They're on a back-to-back as well, too, the back half of back-to-back. Atlanta is without Bogdanovich and Capella, so we're going to see a Okongwu draw the start. They do need his height. They do need his girth against the big boys of Cat. Naz Reid, Vanderbilt. Minnesota does play big. I feel like it's a really interesting Trae Young spot where nobody's going to play him, and this is like there's no reason to say you can't play Trae Young tonight outside of like some of the studs project a little bit better. But again, for tournaments, and another interesting game for tournaments, Kirk D's, ownership is not really there. Okongwu at around 11% on DK. Hunter around 20% as a cheapie to kind of make stuff work. You know, I mentioned Trae Young at 7-8%, Cat at 5%. I prefer Young over Cat for position reasons, and just I think he's got a better chance of getting there. Less competition as far as against his teammates. Vandal wise, nobody at 10% or higher. Like Okongwu was a center, and there's only one center going out there at center on Vandal, so there's an opportunity cost for sure. Kirk Dees, is this another game to potentially exploit for tournaments? And I think if it is. I think it's Trae. You run Trae out.
I think this is a game to exploit for tournament. So it has a 235.5 point total, right? That's pretty good. The Hawks play no defense, right? They're just really struggling on defense. They're now right down at the bottom at 28th in the league for defensive rating. I mean, they have just free fallen on the defensive end. The Wolves are coming off of a back-to-back last night where they man, talk about a game I can't remember a game where I've seen so many fouls. It was like literally a foul every freaking possession last night in that game. But at least some of the guys are rested because they didn't, D'Angelo Russell picked up his 3rd foul in the first quarter, didn't play any of the second quarter whatsoever. Then they went towards Noel down the stretch. And you see, because it's the back-to-back, less defense from the Wolves, who've been pretty good on the defensive end. But the Wolves play fast, right? So that should set up real well for Trey. You can really beat them down inside, so that should set up well for Okongwu and Collins. Okongwu's probably feeling himself after a good game against Giannis the other night. And then Kevin Huerter, right? Like he's going to get the matchup because Beverly's going to be on Trae Young most likely, and Huerter will probably have D'Angelo Russell, who doesn't play very, very much defense. So I think there's GPP plays to be had in this game for sure.
Bembry ruled out. Wendell Carter ruled out. Will, anything to add there? Feel free to add on if there's anything you kind of disagree with. And also anything from the prize picks perspective or underdog, wherever you're playing at as far as your over-unders, things like that. You got anything as far as this game?
Not really. I mean, I think, we got some good analysis there with, I do like her at 5K on DK. I think that's a good price. I like Karl Anthony Towns too at 9,500. I feel like he's priced appropriately, but he does still have a ceiling of 60 fantasy points, right? I don't think he's going 70, 80 anymore. He's got a lot more help. But, I think this is a spot. You look at the total, they don't have the same type of, he's not going to have to deal with Clint Capella tonight. I'm not too worried about Okongwu. At 9,500, I think Karl Anthony Towns is a really good tournament play.
He should work him. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me piggyback that thought too. He did put up 65 against them back in December. I think he had a really horrible game last night. That was also, matchup related. I mean, there were just fouls. He just wasn't able to get into the groove. I think he probably bounces back strong in this game against a team that does not play much defense. So I like that Chiefs call there.
All right, let's move on. This is a big one. This is one of the games we're going to talk about as far as Memphis. They're down some players. At Milwaukee, they're 6.5 point dogs. 229 is a total. Pretty big number. Should stay reasonably close in theory. But they do play the games and things can get goofy. You never really know. But as far as Memphis, they're down several players, several key rotation players. No Tyus Jones, no Slow-Mo and Kyle Anderson, no Desmond Bane. Sorry, Grant. I know Grant loves himself some Bane. Even Killian Tilly is not available. Milwaukee fully healthy with the exception of, Brook Lopez has been hurt basically the entire season. And Drew Holiday, they may or may not get back tonight with his ankle, but their situation's not changed for a while. They're as healthy as they've been for a long time. But Kirk Dees, this is, it's all about Memphis without Jones, without Anderson, without Bane. One of the highest projected owned players on this slate is DeAnthony Melton. He's 3.7K on DK. We're projecting 32 minutes. We're projecting him to start. There's a possibility that John Conchar starts over him. It wouldn't kill Melton. I think both are interesting. Both are in play. I think Melton starts, but I don't know. And they tend to play him less minutes than you expect Melton's going to play. Not well over, but 1.02, 1.05 fantasy points per minute in the season, pretty solid. And he's 3.7K, and we're projecting 30 minutes, and math says he is a really, really good play. You're absolutely playing him in your cash games tournament. Different conversation. Same deal on FanDuel, by the way. Melton, 61%. 61% is the projection for Melton at 4.1K. And then, of course, you can spend it for guys like Ja and Giannis we'll talk about soon enough. But are you in on that chalk, Kirk? Do you see a buy-in DeAnthony Melton?
Oh, it feels gross. It feels gross. Anyone over 50% ownership projected on a slate that's a player like Melton, a guy who can struggle with his offensive game, is a good defender. The thing is he's also capable of putting up some good performances, and he's so priced down, and the minutes should absolutely be there. I mean, he should push 27 to 30 minutes tonight, and he's a fantasy point per minute, and his price is 3,700. So, and we have seen ceiling games out of this guy, so he can get hot. And he can also pick up defensive stats. So I think this is pretty good chalk, but it feels a little bit too high. So I'll listen to you guys how to play this.
Let me ask you this. What if Conchar starts and it's not Melton? Are you just moving right on Conchar? I think they're both interesting for a variety of reasons. And, the minute delegation will change a little bit, but are you in on Conchar? Is he somebody you're keeping an eye on?
Oh man, I mean, he's probably going to get overlooked, so he's probably the best GPP play for a pivot there. But I can't tell you I'm excited about his game.
Yeah, I'm more excited about Melton than Contra,
matchup.
but so's the field.
Yeah.
1.03 fantasy points per net in the season for Melton. Contra 0.83. Of course, things will change a little bit when he's running the starting lineup. His usage will probably go down a hit, but of course he'll grab more minutes, so it's probably a net positive. Will, your thoughts as far as Memphis, and feel free to bring in John Morant into the conversation, who, you know, his ownership's gonna be well below somebody like Melton, obviously.
Yeah, you should already know I was going to be talking about Jai. 8,900 on DK. You know, this guy has shown some pretty good ceiling here in the recent weeks. Now, past couple games, you know, we haven't seen that. It's been under 40 fantasy points, but who cares about that? We need production today. And I'm always down to play stars against Milwaukee, especially if Ja's going to dial it up from 3 a little bit. Now, he doesn't take, you know, 7, 8 threes a game like some of these other stars, so don't get me wrong. But, you know, upon occasion, he will get there. And so I think this is definitely a game where we could see a big ceiling from him. At 8,900, I don't think he should be almost $1,000 cheaper than Trae Young, considering they both had their ups and downs this season from a fantasy perspective. I think Ja's a little undervalued because they're facing the Bucks and we're getting dynamic pricing, and they're probably thinking that the Bucks are going to hold him back a little bit, but I'm not really worried about it.
What about the Bucks side? We're currently projecting Jrue Holiday in, which is probably why we're not projecting Giannis to go completely insane. Of course, if Holiday is out, we're going to bump that up accordingly. Even a guy like Portis will get a bump as well too. If Holiday's back, I think it mucks it up a little bit, and that it kind of suppresses the ownership. We're looking at 11% as far as Giannis and FanDuel, and DK. We're looking at, we have 3% ownership for Giannis and DK. But again, I think that'll change when Holiday is ruled out. You got to pick a side, either in or out. We went in. Will, your thoughts as far as Milwaukee?
Yeah, I mean, I like them. I think, you know, they're facing the Grizzlies a little bit shorthanded. Even if Jrue is back, I think I like Giannis a little bit more with Jrue back. And I know that seems crazy, but I think that's going to free him up to score a little bit more and not have the pressure of handling the ball as much. And so he can get out in the open field. I think Jrue being back is going to help his stocks, his steals and blocks, because I think he'll be able to roam a little bit more because Drew's going to have on-ball pressure on these guards outside the perimeter. So I really like Giannis a lot more if Jrue plays. If Drew's in, Giannis is 12K. You know, we see where the ownership is at around 3%, 2.9 till I'm going to round it up to 3. That's really low for a guy that absolutely can put up 70 fantasy points in this spot. I like Giannis a lot here.
Ortiz?
So I just want to go back to the Memphis side. So like basically you look at all the players that they have. If they don't get a big game out of Ja Morant tonight, they're gonna get whooped, right? They're gonna get blown out, in my opinion. I mean, he's playing with a bunch of low usage players. Jaren Jackson Jr. is certainly a guy that can, you know, has decent usage. So it's probably going to be the combo of those two, but everyone else is a low usage player. So it's going to have to be on his shoulders. So I think he does have a high ceiling here. On the other side for Milwaukee, obviously I like Giannis or I like Middleton. I like them both better, especially if Holiday is out. Then if Holiday's out, I also like Grayson Allen, a little bit of a revenge game here for him. Cheap price point, certainly someone I can get behind, but I think Giannis is going to have the big game here as opposed to the last game where it was Middleton who went off.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Cleveland and Chicago. 214.5 is the total. Cleveland is a 3-point favorite here on the road. Low total. Cleveland, pretty solid team, obviously. And Chicago is without 2 of their key pieces. No Lonzo Ball, no Zach LaVine. They are expecting to get Alex Caruso back. Suspect he will be on a minutes limit of some sort. What's weird here, Curtis, is like you think, there's plenty of value now in Chicago because, you know, 2 of their big studs are out, but the prices have kind of adjusted. Like Kobe White, 6.5K. Caruso's 4.8, but we don't really know how many minutes he's going to play. DeSumo is 5.8. So, like, you're not really – he's probably going to play a bunch of minutes, but, you know, there's not a ton popping on the Chicago side. Of course, you can play DeRozan and Vuk as well, and you're going to need Vuk's size against the big boys in the Cleveland side. We'll talk about it in a second, but DK, nobody is projected to have an ownership above 5%. FanDuel, it should be worth noting that Evan Mobley's 6.6K over there, which seems too cheap for his skill set. So 24% ownership there. Dosunmu has a pretty good price on FanDuel at 4.2K, therefore 16% ownership. DeRozan at 13% ownership with an 8.5 asking price. Is that weird, Kirkies? It's like Chicago is down some key pieces, but nobody's really popping. I guess because the prices have adjusted mostly accordingly.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I like Cleveland from a betting perspective in this game tonight, but that's someone who I would pound. But yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this because I just don't see this offense running well without Lonzo.
Yeah.
Caruso being back, yeah, that helps. He's okay. And it's his first game back, and we should probably expect limited minutes from him in this first game back. But Kobe White, I don't think can run the show very confidently, at least. So I just see this team struggling overall. But like you said, the pricing is, I mean, obviously DeRozan and Vooch always have big upside, but man, their price, they demand big upside for those prices.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at as well. What do you have, Will, as far as this game?
I do think AO on FanDuel is still way big time in play in the 4K range. I don't think I want to play Vooch or DeRozan at these prices against Cleveland. And I know we keep talking about it, but who would have thought Cleveland in the year 2022, we're like, yeah, I don't want to play anybody against Cleveland, but I don't. And then on the Cleveland side, I do think Jared Allen is a little bit too cheap. Now, we haven't really seen the upside in a couple games, but man, at 7,700, he does have a 50-point ceiling. Like, I think I'd be willing to roll him out at 3% on DK. If he gets, 18 points, 12 rebounds, a couple blocks and steals, like he's right there. So I think, because the slate is so big, he's going way overlooked. I'd be willing to play him over Vooch at 7,700.
A surprise, Orlando is starting Bamba. I thought they were going to start Lopez. They kind of use his size against Joel Embiid, but they're starting Bamba versus Joel Embiid. So, more minutes for Bamba in theory, but good luck.
And Suggs is in the starting lineup too.
Yeah, yes, that's interesting. I just kind of note that,
he
Bamba,
was kind of my sneaky play that I could tell that he earned more minutes in the last game, but now he's starting.
Yeah, I mean, they're going nowhere, so they might as well run the guys out there, see what they got in the, one of their prize prospects, obviously. Ao is not a great fantasy point minute player, 0.67 of the season, but like we said, he should play upwards of 30 minutes or so, and he's pretty cheap, especially on FanDuel. Let's move on. We got to pick with the pace a little bit here, boys. Still plenty of games on deck.
I love Mobley. I just want to get that.
Okay, yeah, I like him too, especially on FanDuel. I assume I'm trying to remember his Yahoo price, around $30 or so.
I think he's like 27 or something, but let me check.
That's even better than 30. But
he's 31. You're right.
Yeah, he's the reason why you don't want to pick on Cleveland. He's been incredible this year. Potential top 5, top 10 player in the league going, in a couple of years or something like that. Good for Cleveland. OKC San Antonio, 221 is the total. San Antonio is a 7-point favorite here. As far as OKC, last we checked, they have some 3 or 4 other guys in the G League. That's why we only have 10 people available. I'm not sure if that's changed or not, but interesting, I guess, to some degree. They are without Derek Favors and Kenrich Williams. San Antonio is a fully healthy team, and it's a great matchup. I don't love anything here. There's playable stuff. We like DeJounte Murray, but again, we live in the world salary cap. Is he going to be your one big spend on the slate? Probably not.
Yeah. Especially not with Derek White back. And that's why I said one of my props that I really like today. And I didn't check to see if they were still at 20.5, but I know DeJounte opened at 20.5. And while I understand he has the ceiling, I think that's just a result of him playing really well. And now he's down to 19.5. I'm borderline willing to take under 19.5 with a lot of these bodies coming back, like Vassell and Walker and White and McDermott. Mm-hmm. I think we can take under 19.5. The problem is they're playing OKC today, which, essentially would give him more of a ceiling. But I'm still willing to roll the dice there. I don't want to play DeJounte at 97 on DK on this slate with all of the other guys we have, I'd absolutely just go ahead and play Kyrie over him. Derek White is still okay. Like if you look at his minutes, he's been around 30 minutes the last game. We saw the fantasy production there. All in all, I really don't want to play anybody from the Spurs.
Or OKC. Could you say both teams?
Yeah.
This game is just, I mean, look, there's some pieces, sure. Kirk D's, and it's the second time, feel free to add if you have anything, but if not, if you disagree, if there's somebody you think is a great tournament play, go for it. Otherwise, we can move on.
Man, I kind of like this game. Both teams have been declining defensively. They also give up tons of ancillary stats. OKC 27th in opponent made threes, 29th in opponent blocks, 25th in opponent steals. The only thing I would love DeJounte normally, but White does eat into him a little bit. But but I do worry that they're going to throw Lou Dort on him too, which may make things just a little bit hairier for him. But that, to me, that sets up nicely for a guy like Keldon Johnson, or Jakob Poeltl. This game, one of their either big body or big in height guys to have a good game here. So those are guys I'm looking at. Especially, I might play Poeltl on Yahoo tonight. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's like $22 over there, right? I think it's a pretty good. I did some rankings. I think me and you both did the rankings today. Maybe it was me and Grant. Not really sure, but
no, we did it. I saw you in there.
We both had him like I think top 3.
I just copied you is what I
did. That's the move, man.
Whoever's first.
Oh, come on. That's not true. I know you're just making.
It's definitely not true. 20. I don't know.
Just in case anybody actually is taking you seriously for whatever reason. All right.
He's $24 on Yahoo tonight.
Yeah, that's a good price.
He's been incredibly consistent. Just game log that at least for 30, and then he does have some ceiling games. So you have to like him a little bit.
Toronto, Dallas, 2-8 is the total. Dallas is a 3-point favorite. Obviously, not a very appealing total. Dallas fully healthy, right? Cleaver's back. Bullock is available. Sterling Brown is out. Whatever, don't care. But they're fully healthy. So everybody in Dallas falls back. Of course, you can play Luka Doncic. We don't need to tell you that. Porzingis looks like they're monitoring his minutes to some extent. So I probably wouldn't get there. Speaking of not monitoring minutes, that's the Toronto side. They are without Ken Birch. He's got that nose, so he can't play. Gary Trent is questionable with an ankle. If he doesn't go, we saw Toronto essentially run a 6-man rotation last game.
It's insane.
Nick Nurse hates his bench.
It's unreal. It's Miles Bridges and to all the Raptors you can play.
Oh, seriously.
You want minutes upside? There's your lineup. But every slate, I immediately look who's Toronto playing, and then I saw that they're playing the Mavericks, and I'm like, yeah. So that's the problem. But I like. And
also,
Siakam
Siakam's 9-9 on FanDuel. FPV, we've seen that. Yeah, go ahead.
Has anybody realized that Siakam's assist numbers are just starting to go through the roof here recently? Has anybody picked up on that? And it's not. Okay, he had a game sprinkling with 4, and I know he's had back-to-back 10, but just overall 10, 10, 4, 7, 7, 5, 6, 5, 7, 7, 8. These assist numbers through the roof. I think it's going to continue. He's playing too many minutes.
42, 40, 41 minutes.
And he's 9,100 though. That's the thing. And then you go and look at it. So basically, here's what's happening in a real life sense. He's playing against starters, and then he's playing against the bench. And he's got so many opportunities to just destroy, any situation he's in. I like Pascal Siakam tonight. I think he's on his way to another 50-plus spot here if he's going to play 40 minutes against this team.
Boucher is 7K on FanDuel. Man, I know he gets there sometimes, and he can be interesting if Trent is out because they might run their 6 guys. Pascal, FEV, OG, Barnes, Boucher, and Precious. Champagne gets some run, but it's insanity. That's just what they're doing. There are other people in uniform that are available to play.
No, they're not.
This isn't like Little League. We gotta play everybody.
No, they're not. Gosh, man.
Your favorite tournament play on the Toronto side, Kirkies. You're gonna pick one for a tournament. Who do you like?
It would be Siakam, or Scotty Barnes. I think everyone else has really tough matchups. And this game has incredibly, it's going to struggle from a pace perspective. It's just really the minute upside is what you're chasing here. I mean, Dallas plays so slow and they play good D. If Kleber's back after he crushed me after I played, I just needed like, on Yahoo the other night I lost because I had Kleber and Donovan Mitchell. I should have won, but like Mitchell was playing with a concussion, which I was like, what? I was about to light him up on Twitter, like just how bad he was.
Don't be that guy. You don't.
No, I would never add him.
Oh, okay.
I just like to complain. I like to complain.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I love like in complaint. You only get like you never get any likes for complaints. No one likes seeing it. But you get like the other two guys. You find your other two friends who are in the same boat as you who come along. But
misery and company.
Yeah, definitely. But and I just needed anything, and then he did a dunk right to start off the second half and goes out with a knee injury.
Speaking of Mitchell, 230.5 is a total. Houston at Utah. It's a big old number. They're also 14-point favorites. Mitchell is out. Hassan Whiteside, the backup center, is out. Rudy Gay, sometimes the backup center, backup wing as well, is also out. Utah plays pretty tight rotations. Everybody's kind of gets bumped up. And Houston is the fastest paced team in the league, and they're the worst defensive efficiency team in the league. That is the nut combination for these Utah Jazz players. And also, they tend to stay on the court a little bit longer than most. Some of you watch as far as court coaches, they'll keep their starters out there in like 15, 20-point blowouts, kind of Thibodeau-esque there as Coach Quinn Snyder. That's why Utah players are going to be popping on this slate. Gobert, if you want to say center matchups against Houston, like if you want to do that kind of thing, you can do that as well too, a micro versus macro. Clarkson, 40% projected ownership on FanDuel right now. I love his points total today. I wrote him up today on Scores and Odds. All the alt numbers as well too. I think he has potentially the ability to put up like 30 real life points in the bucket. On DK, we're seeing ownership about 40% as well too. Gobert's got a monster number. Bogdanovich, Jingle, and Joe Ingles. Presumably he jumps in that starting rotation. Kirk Dees, how much Jazz is too much Jazz?
I mean, they're like, and optimals are like spitting out like 4 to 5 Jazz in like every lineup across like all sites. But I think like 3 is like probably what you want to stay to, but or go under than that. But I don't see how Jordan Clarkson fails unless he just stinks it up, which he did against the Lakers. Back in his revenge spot. But there could be some lifelike situations. They played really flat anyway. Of course, Donovan was playing with a concussion, but so he's a guy who steals the usage from Donovan anyway, and now Donovan's gone. So he is just his usage numbers are going to be insane in this game against Houston, who doesn't play any D. So I do not see how he does not smash tonight. So I'm going to be all in on Jordan Clarkson tonight. I also will be all in on Rudy Gobert tonight. The other guys, I don't really care. I don't really care about Conley. He's fine. I just don't, it's so tough to get a ceiling game out of him. Joe Ingles is
he's old and we haven't really seen it this year, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Joe Ingles, you get the value spot and it makes sense, but he's just struggled all year. But in stinker after stinker, but someone I can get behind. Bojan, I just don't see it. Although maybe, I don't know. I just don't really care about him that much. The guy I like, who Chief, I guess, is hammering his under props. I kind of like Royce O'Neal in this spot just because of all, but it's not for the points. So that's okay. So he can score 8 points under your 8.5, under your 8.5, and just give me the 8 steals and blocks that you get when you play against Houston.
KPJ is going to be sloppy.
And he'll shoot some threes too. So this is a good spot for Royce O'Neal, in my opinion, from a fantasy point perspective.
Yeah, he's not going to get a massive usage bump. And you mentioned Clarkson's got the highest usage on the team when Mitchell is off the court. I love him. I think we stressed that enough. And typically I don't like playing players. They're like point reliant, and he's pretty point reliant, but I just think he gets those points. Will, anything to add? Your favorite player on the Utah Jazz? And as far as a run back on Houston, I guess you can play Wood. I don't love the run backs on Houston.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Porter Jr. 6,500, Jalen Green's 48, but doesn't really have much ceiling right now. Eric Gordon is 5K. Well, he doesn't have much ceiling. Jayshawn Tate's at 57, and he has a ceiling if they're playing a bad team with other guys out. Christian Wood does have a ceiling. Secretly, I'm not afraid of Rudy Gobert at the center position. For what it's worth, at 8,200. This game is going to stay anywhere reasonably close. I think Christian Wood has something to do with it. I do like Christian Wood for tournaments. All in all, though, that's about it. I wouldn't play anyone else from Houston tonight.
By the way, you're thinking about Gobert. Everybody else is on too. Like, people don't play Gobert, like, generally speaking, but tonight he is popping and he's going to get played. And yeah, I ran optimals on DK. The very first lineup, 4 players from the Jazz. The next one, 4 players for the Jazz. The next one, 5 players from the Jazz. Good Lord. Yeah, that's a lot of Jazz. Kirk, do you have anything to add as far as Houston? We got to move on, but like,
no, I kind of like Eric Gordon.
Okay.
In games that they stay competitive, he's usually pretty good. And a reason why. So if you're loaded up with Jazz guys and you want this game to stay competitive, I think he makes for a run back in those scenarios. But yeah, I'm not excited about any of these guys.
Clippers,
Dean,
Denver. Oh, go ahead.
Dean, if you want us to speed up, you can just skip this game.
Well, I mean, you don't want to play Nikola Jokic?
Not really.
Oh man, I mean, he's amazing. I mean, look, I get. Well, I okay, we'll talk about it. 213. Well, okay, 213.5 is the total. Denver is a 9-point favorite. The Clippers are going to be without Batum, for what it's worth. They may get Kennard back. As far as Denver, Austin Rivers expected to be available. JaMychal Green expected not to be available. So I guess you have nobody, Will. So Kirkis, give me the argument for Jokic or anybody else in this game.
I mean, Jokic is playing a Morris brother tonight. There's one reason. Jokic brings the highest ceiling as anybody to any game. This game most likely going to have some pace problems. So I'm not excited about this game in general, but he could absolutely dominate this matchup and could be good tonight on this slate for sure. And the Clippers just put up some decent points for once.
Yeah, well, that was against Indiana, I believe, right? And Indiana's defense is ravaged with the absence of Miles Turner. We'll talk about that soon enough. No higher projection as far as ownership on DK than Jokic at 7%. And I'm not sure if I'm getting there. 12-4 is a big old number. There's a lot of studs to consider, but I'm never angry if I land on Jokic. It's like, oh, I got Jokic, that's fine. I'm always going to be okay with that. I don't know if I'm probably not starting a lineup with it for what it's worth. I do agree with that thought process. And same deal on FanDuel. Jokic at 10%, Morris at 11%. He's 5'8" over there, which is cheaper than he's been of late. Kind of sort of somewhat interesting, but lots of guys are interesting. Detroit, Sacramento, two games to go, 10 minutes or so before we step aside and get out of here. We may have time for your questions there, YouTube. Of course, there's no questions to be asked on YouTube. Where do you ask those questions? You ask them in the Rotogrinders Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord, and go to the live stream chat channel. That is a non-premium channel. There are some premium channels. That one's not a premium channel. Ask your question. Producer will be pulling those questions, throw them my way. Do our best to knock out at least several before we step aside and make way for crunch time. Last 2 games of the night. Up next. Oh, I just closed my screen. Tell me, Kirk Dees, what's the next game? It's
Detroit, Sacramento.
Yeah. Okay. Detroit and Sacramento. Killian Hayes unlikely to play. Kelly Olynyk. My God, that's Kelly Olynyk's music. He's supposed to be available tonight. Frank Jackson's still out. As far as Sacramento, Bagley should be available. Tristan Thompson, in theory, should be available. They're without Halliburton, which is the big one, where Davis might step into that starting rotation, give you an interesting cheapie. I'll throw it to you, Kirk Dees, as my point page is up. Closed them by accident. Your thoughts as far as Sacramento, Detroit, a game that only DFS people will be watching.
Yeah, this has that potential. Like, we're always looking for 2 really bad defensive teams, 2 decently priced teams, with fantasy upside, with a lot of like steals and blocks and all that good stuff. This could be that game. The thing that worries me is that Detroit is so bad, right? Like, just horrendous. And they're on a back-to-back and they're missing a bunch of guys. Killian Hayes is out, Frank Jackson's out. And they got blown out last night as expected. I think you're going to see a bounce back from Cunningham tonight in this spot against Sacramento. So I do like him. And I do like the overall game environment in general. I mean, this from every standpoint. I mean, the Kings, the thing is I think the Kings run them off the court, by the end of the game. And I never think that, because the Kings are awful. right? Atrocious, right?
Terrible
But,
organization.
yeah, and they're missing Halliburton. But I think De'Aaron Fox goes nuclear in this game. I like Cade Cunningham as the bring back. You get a little Corey Joseph revenge with high minutes upside in this one with some of these guys, with Killian Hayes out and whatnot. I'm never a Kojo guy, but tonight I can get behind him for sure. Terrence Davis is a nice value play tonight too.
You think he starts?
I do, but maybe they'll go Davion Mitchell. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And both of those guys could be very good. These, both of Davion certainly could pick up some of the peripheral stats. And Davis is pretty good. I think both of them are pretty good. Diallo probably has a I don't know. He got all the minutes last night. We'll see what happens tonight. But for me, it's Fox and Cunningham are great spots tonight. And Marvin Bagley's been playing well finally.
Rashawn Holmes, in theory, should be getting better. In theory, should be playing some more minutes, but he's been a disaster since coming back, and I think he would hurt Bagley. But it's just a mess as far as their front court. Davis in the season over a fantasy point per minute, and Mitchell at 0.76. I thought it would be higher than that. In my head, it feels like it would be higher than that. But if Davis draws the start, DK 5.3, fine, I suppose. But on FanDuel, he's 4.4. Yeah, 4.4 over there. And the Cunningham price on FanDuel is way too cheap at 6K. I love that. If you're game long watching, he got ejected for something really, really silly for dunking on somebody and pointing at him. It was a second tee and it just threw him out of the game. But whatever. I think that hit his price to some degree. He's really well positioned. Fox rumors him potentially getting traded for Sabonis. I'm not sure if you guys heard that. Two teams in disarray, trying to make things better. We'll see if that happens. Stay tuned. Will, thoughts as far as Detroit, Sacramento?
I mean, probably is going to come down to being one of the better fantasy point games on the night if you're willing to stack the game up. I mean, over the years, I've made really good money taking two bad teams and stacking them. And at the end of the night, you look up and go, man, I either won or I had a shot. Well, this is one of those spots where I think you have a shot, right? Cade Cunningham, price suppressed at 7,300 because he's been playing better teams. Well, tonight he gets Sacramento. Hamidou Diallo at 66, Sadiq Bey at 68. Terrence Davis, he's priced up a little bit. Don't care, 5,300. Rashawn Holmes at 44. Not exactly sure about his minutes, but De'Aaron Fox at 84. Didn't play so well in the last game. Got ejected. Look, I like this game from a fantasy perspective, and I think the prices fit together really, really well. Give me a mini stack of this game, a little bit of 3-2 action with Cade, Hamidou, and then Fox, Davis, and maybe even a little bit of Buddy Hield on the other side.
Yeah,
all right.
Buddy, and also then give us double OT.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You can't. Yeah. All right.
There's a recipe.
Yeah. We have a lot of questions compiled. I want to knock those out. Let's talk about Indiana and the Lakers. 226 in total. Lakers are 5-point favorites. I love the Lakers in this game. I never love the Lakers, but I think Indiana's defense is severely weakened with the absence of Miles Turner. Hit that sports book and get yourself the Lakers tonight -5. Click through the banners if you guys are in New York. Get yourself a $1,000 deposit bonus. Rotogrinders.com. Go to the top and go to the betting pages. Go to specifically New York. The insane deposit bonus is going on right now. What's the noise there in the background?
We've got Dean's mush of the night.
Oh yeah, I love the Lakers.
The Lakers are the mush of the night. I'm going
to Pacers. I'm mushing the Pacers for the record.
No, yeah. So everybody bet those Pacers is what I'm telling you.
No, you need to, because the Lakers aren't playing great defense either, for what it's worth.
Yeah, but they're going to be without Turner and almost definitely Brogdon at the front end.
Karis LeVert, 55 burger tonight. He's one of my favorite tournament plays on the slate.
Love
Russell Westbrook is getting I've been following this for weeks now. I said, let me get some intel and make sure I'm right before I hand out the blue notebook special. I'm just playing point guards against the Lakers the rest of the season until they figure it out. Karis LeVert is, and he can drop it anyway, but I'm saying like 55 tonight. I'm saying like 25 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, a steal. Give it to me. Karis is going off.
Yeah, this game stays close. LeVert and Sabonis are probably doing some things. I like LeVert for tournaments. Probably running it back with LeBron. There's not really much else on the Lakers side, but on FanDuel, you have to at least acknowledge that Russell Westbrook is 7-5 on FanDuel, which we haven't seen, I don't know, ever. It's been a long time since we've seen him at 7.5K. Kirk,
he might have come in like that his rookie season.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I'll take some Westbrook. I think this game is. I mean, these last two games are the late night hammers. You just game stack them both up. I mean, we just saw Indiana give up freaking 139 points to the Clippers, and the Lakers certainly haven't been playing good D themselves. And I love LeVert too. I echo that sentiment. I mean, you got to think about LeVert. He's with a bunch of low usage players. It's LeVert and Sabonis with completely low usage players, right?
Wayne Washington, Torrey Craig.
Holiday.
And then Lance comes in and ruins everything and blows in LeBron's ear.
I think O'Shea Brissett could be a total flyer tonight that absolutely no one will play. But with Miles Turner out, we've seen him go off in the past. I think there's a good game in there potentially. It's as far as the flyer as you can get. But
is he a better flyer than Gogo Batadze?
I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But
I'm curious how it goes because if LeBron's playing the 5 but LeBron by no longer center eligible on DK, that experiment's over. Like Howard versus Sabonis is what we're expecting to start. But if you're playing something like a Batadze, you obviously need Howard out there a good bit. LeBron would eat Gogo alive, and they lost their rim protector. LeBron's going to go nuts against the likes of Sabonis and Gogo on the inside. He's going to be awesome. Let's just knock out these questions before we step aside and get out of here. Cash games, Kirk Dees, cash games, FanDuel Cash from Gamble. Terrence Davis or Ayo from Chicago?
Davis.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well too. FanDuel tournaments, can you play a Kungwu on FanDuel? What do you think, Will? You like a Kungwu?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if I love his upside. He's probably projecting well. I know he's projecting well, but Gabe Vincent as a punt in DK tournaments, he's like 4-5. It's not even a great price, and he probably starts, but there's not a lot of usage there. And there's plenty of other options too. What do you think, Kirk, as far as Gabe Vincent? I'm not excited.
I think you can play him. It's not exciting for sure. Yeah, it's going to take some doing to get him there, but I don't mind it.
Will, DK tournaments, you like Jingle and Joe Ingles or Conchar? Ingles is the projected to starter.
Ingles.
Conchar may start. There's a chance Conchar starts as well.
Dude, that guy had a good game because he got 17 rebounds in a game. You know what I mean? He was sub 10% usage and went off. So that's as chasey as it gets.
It's not projectable 17 rebounds. Probably not.
I mean, unless you Dean Mush him,
Let's go Lakers. I never bet the Lakers, but all right. Kirk Dees, DK tournaments. You got Ja or Kyrie? Who do you prefer out of those two in tournaments?
For tournaments, Ja. Kyrie's going to get his ownership. I think Ja's, like we said, if they're going to be competitive in this game, it's going to be on Ja's shoulders. So why not chase a ceiling game?
Will, both you guys. I'm going to ask Will first, though. Will, give me your favorite stud, all the studs, favorite one, and your favorite value play on the entire slate.
I'm gonna give you my favorite play on the entire slate, and it's legitimately Karis LeVert. Okay, favorite stud, probably LeBron in the same game. Favorite value play, and this is all on DK, by the way. Favorite value play is probably Joe Ingles at 3,700.
Kirk, do you same question?
Oh man, I mean, I echo his sentiment with Karis LeVert. I absolutely love him. I also love Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. I know it's kind of a cop out to take both.
Tatum is even better with Mitch Rob out now. I'm not Mitch Rob, Rob Williams.
Yeah, one of those guys is going to go off in this game. So I want them both.
So the chat is saying that Williams is out. Oh, Robert Williams is out. I missed that.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So do we like Horford now? If you guys knew that, somebody chime in. I can't catch everything.
Well, we were trying to push the train forward, Dean. I mean, look, I will tell you this right now. Even though he might get run off the floor, today is a good day to take a flyer on Enes Kanter. Seriously.
Oh. We got to end stronger than that.
Enes Freedom. He's 3,100. He's going to get 20 minutes.
That's as strong as you can get.
That's your guy. That's your team. Do you echo those sentiments? Do you think Horford is interesting now, Kirk Dees? I totally missed this.
I do, but I'll trust my boy Chief. If Chief's on something, I'll sprinkle him in just because
Sprinkle it in. That's
A
it.
little sprinkle.
Are we jamming in Cade on FanDuel tournaments? I love that Cade price at 6K. I think it's an awesome play. And he's not going to be like sneaky. Like he's going to be heavily owned to some degree. Can you play a Kungwu and Hunter together? Two cheapies in Atlanta, Kirk-Dees. Can you play them both in the same lineup at DK?
Yeah, I don't mind either because they're not good on the glass, the Wolves. So yeah, I like Hunter better, but yeah, you can do that.
Anybody have a Bones Highland take on Denver at 3.8K? He's been getting some more run of late. Anybody thinks Bones is interesting in this slate? I'm not hearing anything.
Not really.
Give me this. This is a great question. Who is your DMV, your doesn't make value play? Just give me your boldest fade. We got to step aside and make way for crunch time, obviously. For premium members on rotogrinders.com, check that out. They're firing up in about 8 minutes or so. Give me your boldest fade, like your a stud, if you want to say, the guy you're not playing tonight, Will, for whatever reason.
Jokic.
Yeah, that is pretty. Yeah, that's a good one. Well, what do you have, Kirk-Dees?
I'm so bad at these on the spot questions like this. Let's say I don't know. Let's say DeAnthony Melton is not in winning lineups tonight.
Oof, man, I'm gonna play too much of him, I'm sure. Yeah. All right. That was the show. I do appreciate y'all watching us on the YouTube. We got it done. 13 games, went a couple minutes over. Apologies to our producers. Yeah, again, crunch time is up next. Do hit that like button if you guys are watching us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. It is much appreciated. Keeps the proverbial lights on. That was Will. That was Kirk-Dees. That was basketball. I was Dean. We're out of here. Holler!